thanks to Angie and No Little Ben, the two things combined has meant that actually I don't have to walk and talk. I can just sit and talk and then walk. So that's what I'm doing. It's really warm. This is going to be about targeted individuals and leaving cults. Let me just check the time. Okie dokie. So it's 3:45 now. And besides, we'll be losing light. It's not ideal. It's really damp because, well, it's just really wet. It's been raining. And so I'm sitting on my coat for that reason. But it's warm, so it doesn't matter. After I filmed yesterday, I didn't go home. I ended up walking into the town centre, and there's an Aldi store that's just opened, and I went in to have a look, and long story short, I was halfway around there. I mean, I only had a hand basket. I was just grabbing a few items because, you know, Aldi's all right. I don't mind shopping there for a few bits and bats. It's better than any other supermarkets. Yeah, not for price. I mean, for quality. If you shop wisely. But hey, I'm not doing a shout out for any companies at all. It's just that it's just opened in town, and the only choice before was the Co-op or like a Sainsbury's thing. Gone off Sainsbury's. Can't imagine why. No, I don't think Sainsbury's were trying to poison me. I think it's microwave weaponry. Anyhow, I'm halfway around there, and it suddenly dawned on me, oh my god, you're going to bump into people from work. Well, within 2 minutes of me having that thought, sure enough, I did. I bumped it. Now, we have quite a lot of foreigners from the Czech Republic, that kind of area, that worked at work for years. They're like me. They left a few times and they always end up going back. Well, they're not the same as me, obviously, but because they asked to go back. But the point is that, yeah, I bump into them. Now, these are lads I've got no problem with at all. No problem with them. But it's the first time I've seen anyone from work since I left. I haven't seen anybody, apart from my show jumping friend who I used to work with the racehorses with. That's how I met her. But she's always been a show jumper, and I've always been a racehorse rider, and we've combined and became friends. But that's different because it's always been more outside work, and we very rarely work together in that environment. But we have enough to know what the environment is, and it's, you know, to know what the world is that we worked within, and some still work within. Anyway, long story short, so that happened. I don't want to go into too many details. It was just, I asked them how work was, and it was blatantly obvious. They were actually, I don't want to say they were afraid to say. It was, I thought whilst I was in there that they were scared that our bosses might overhear them. Because, you know, we live in a small place, and of course, anyone who knows where we worked could easily have overheard us. And so the initial impression I got was that that's why they were afraid. I mean, they weren't showing, they were chatting to me, and it was just that I could see the fear in their eyes. And you have to understand, I've worked with these lads for years, and we've been friends for years, because I did get on with the foreigners. Yeah, okay, we argued sometimes, but don't all friendships argue sometimes? Real friendships. And then it's alright, isn't it? Because you get frustrated when you're working in that kind of environment, and people that actually care about one another can like let off a little bit of steam every now and then. It's not ideal. It's far from ideal, but when you work in that environment, it's just how it is. You know, it's just the reality. You have like the people that are just nasty. And it's not that they're just nasty, it's just that they've been taught to be a certain way, and they're frustrated. Everyone's frustrated. You've got the jockeys who all are trying to be someone. And then you've got like people like me who just have a gift at what they do. But because of like how I am, it's do it properly or don't do it at all. Which meant that the lads who wanted to finish early or finish on time, which now I'm out of that, I'm like, oh my god, Nina, what were you thinking? We were all underpaid and overworked. And all I could think about was the horses. And we're not cutting corners. Terrible. I look back and I cringe. I mean, I wasn't horrible or nasty, but I was so indoctrinated to keep the system going, whilst at the same time fighting against the system even whilst working in it. Because I was regularly told to shut up and stop giving kids their rights. Because I was 23 when I started working there, and most people are 16 when they start working there. And so yeah, I mean, I did get told to literally a fair few times back in my 20s. I just got more discreet, you know, and also things changed. So, without too many details being said, things changed. The minimum wage came in, which actually didn't do us any favours, because we were actually getting paid more before it came in. Not more than it is now, but at the time we were always underpaid and overworked. That really isn't the point, which I'm actually digressing. The point is I bumped into them from work, and it's really tragic when you could lose your life in a millisecond, which you could in that job. Trust me, you really could. People do, you know, people that I know have. Anyhow, I've not seen anyone from work since I worked there. Haven't seen the horses from work since I worked there. Not the ones in training, only the ones out in the fields. And so it was emotional, and we hugged and like pecked cheeks, because that's what you do when you're from, like, you know, you peck cheeks. And then I asked them how they were doing, and the pain and hurt, they didn't have to say how they were doing. I asked them how many lots they were riding a day. I asked them what time they were finishing up for lunch. Things which you don't have to be afraid to answer. And I could see, like, I just thought they were afraid of being overheard at the time, until I left. I won't go into more details than what I just have, because there's no need. Until I got home and I realised there was more behind it. There was more behind the fear. And then I clicked and I was like, oh my God, of course they are. Of course they're afraid to speak to me. If they had been caught by our bosses, it would have been bad news for them at work. Not, I hope, literally that. I just mean their lives would have been made misery. I am the most... You can't leave a sport, an industry like that, and speak out about it. How many people speak out about racing? How many? Very few. How many people speak out about racing and stay alive doing so? Even less. Yeah. So that was like the first thing that happened last night after I finished filming. And then, so that's the cult aspect right there. Just one aspect of the cult aspect, because, you know, it is a cult life. As so many people's families, we don't want to think our families are cult. But if you think of it like a mafioso family, like The Godfather, without the overt killings, then it's easy to align families like mine to cults. But we don't get brought up saying, you're in a cult? Of course not. Oh, you're going to work in horse racing? It's a cult? Of course not. We all think cults are religious institutions with brainwashed, stupid people there. And it's not like that. The reality is, most of the world, I can't speak for most of the world, but I can speak for where I live and everyone I know. And I don't know anybody who's not cult indoctrinated and used still. I'm the only person who's like walked away and left. The only person. The leaves are falling like crazy. It would be beautiful sound if it wasn't for the fact that usually when I sit here I have like a little person up there like crawling around in the woods, which is why we'll get around to targeting. So targeting, it's been nuts anyhow. I mean, feeling poisoned, hair falling out, head on fire. When I say head on fire, I literally mean it felt like my head was on fire, like flames were coming out of my head the whole time, 24/7 in the end. Until I made the video about it, and then it stopped. Overnight stopped. No, so overnight calmed down, and then when she ripped all my hair out, overnight stopped. No more fire on the head. And that's when I felt poisoned beyond belief, immediately. But it builds up in your system. I don't think that it's literal poisoning where you could get a blood test and get a result. I think it's all weaponry with vibrations. It's not hard to do. Everything is but a simple vibration to change. You know, if they wanted us to dance around our bedrooms or houses for a week, they could make us do that, and we would have no choice in the matter unless God saved us. So what I've really had going on a lot has been anyone who was still cult involved themselves but trying to get out, and I was trying to help out, which I do have. I've got a couple of close friends. I don't have many. Well, maybe a few, not many, because I've never had many friends through choice. Because most people, I hate to say this, but most people just didn't get it. And it's not like I've always walked around saying cult instead of family or cult instead of racing. I haven't. And now I look back and I see how asleep I was, but at the time I was always so much more awake than everyone else. And so it's all relative, isn't it? Like now, it's like a no-brainer. I look back and I'm like, oh, bless you, Needy. You were so asleep. But yet, I was still wide awake compared to the rest of the world. Which is why I shouldn't feel sensitive when not many people get me now, because it will always be this way for me. I'm 38 years old. It's been like this my whole life. I should be used to it. It's just not my whole life have I been putting myself on the line like I do with my YouTube videos, where I'm sharing the most personal stuff in the world, and I'm doing it publicly. I have to, because there's so many going through this who can't speak out because they're afraid to, or because they just can't. Not everyone can. Not everyone's wired to be able to do this like what I am. And it's not an easy road. It's not an easy ride. I can say that right now. But for me, there's no going back. There's no going back. I can't be a slave. I can't do it. So I've chosen my path. God's chosen my path. I was born to be what I am, and that was not to be what the cult tried to make me, a new age Christian racehorsing guru. It's just insane, it's so obviously Luciferian, satanic, whatever you want to call it. It's the same system. Anyway, so today I've been really getting punished even more than usual, because they keep changing the tactics, because I keep making videos. The more they try and silence me, the more I'll speak out. The more I speak out, the more they'll punish me. It's just that simple. I counter move to change punishment, and then they change their punishment to counter move back. It's like a game of chess. It's just that simple. It's a game of chess. But it's not that simple, because they don't think, they know they're going to lose. Especially to me, I'm a chess pro. I'm kidding. I was as a kid though, but I'm terrible now. I haven't played for so long. Well, I have been playing actually a little bit recently, but that's beside the point. The point is, it's a move and a counter move. If you want to spread awareness, you're constantly counter moving to stay alive. But what everyone sometimes forgets is, we're not alone in this. We've got God. We've got Jesus. We're not on our own. And so, yeah, basically, it's like a game of chess, but the game of chess is going on, and it's all overlooked. And it's been overlooked by someone who can step in at any point in time, and does. It's just people don't always realise that they have stepped in. A lot of people don't recognise the miracles which happen every day in their lives. And then other miracles are really overt, like, for example, when I got rescued from the car wreck, which was meant to kill me, or if not to kill me, then very much scare me. I think it was meant to kill me, bearing in mind an angel saved me. And I mean an angel, not a demon. Demons do mask as angels. This was no demon that saved me. I know that. I'm never, I know that, you know, one thing in my defense, well, not in my defense, just I was here not to be what they wanted me to be.